All right, folks, welcome back to Kings of Opinion, episode 91. Guys, we got some big news, but before we get to it, I'm jumping the gun a little bit. Say hello to everybody.
Hello.
Happy to be here.
What's the big news?
We got a Jets head coach before we got a GM.
Yeah, I know. Perfect for the Jets.
Right?
The coach before the GM.
I was gonna say, like, what, franchise does that?
I mean, I'm gonna guess that it's been done before, but it's like, so now basically you're coming in as a GM, as a GM, and you're being told who your coach is.
Yeah, that's so out of whack. It's a bit wacky to me, no? I don't understand it. I get it, Woody's hiring his people, but wouldn't you hire a GM first and then be like, listen, I like this guy, Aaron Glenn? That's why it made no sense that they were interviewing everyone and their mother before they got a GM. Why wouldn't you do GMs first?
Unless they know who it is and they just figure they can wait because he's not going anywhere. Maybe it's going to be like Tannenbaum, so they're like, let's get the coach before the coach disappears and we can't get him. We know Tannenbaum's not going anywhere. He's already agreed to be the coach, but we can hold off the GM and hold off on announcing it. Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like a decent hire, but he was a Jet for a while, and he was even a scout for the Jets for a little bit, and he worked his way up to the defensive coordinator with the Lions. So he could be good, but he's still a first-time head coach. He's gonna make those mistakes that the first, when you're not. You've never been a head coach before, right? That's my thing. You know what I mean? I don't know.
He has been defensive coordinator there for the last 4 years, so that's pretty good, So he has had some time under his belt, I guess.
Yeah, but he's still not a head coach.
No, that we get, yeah.
And he hasn't. We don't even know who the rest of his staff is going to be. There's rumors that there are ex-head coaches that are going to be on his staff, which could only help, I guess. You know what I mean?
I'm sure there's going to be a couple of them.
And then I want to assume, I guess, the Aaron Rodgers saga continues, right? Because you're not going to want a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback with, if they were starting from scratch, I'd understand it. But you got a lot of good to, decent to good guys on your team, you should still try and win these ball games, no?
Yeah, I think chances are he's coming back. Either that or they're going to have to sign some kind of a veteran quarterback. Because even if they were to trade up or something were to happen and they drafted a quarterback, you can see where they're going to, let them sit for the first year or two or whatever. But
I mean, I would really like them to do that. Even if they got a quarterback in the draft that was in the second or third or even fourth round, please sit them. Don't have them just come right in.
Yeah, I mean, other than if you get one of the top two guys, I think everybody else is going to be a sitter,
I guess so. I don't know.
I can't believe that the rest of the teams that are looking for coaches haven't just hired somebody yet.
Yeah, and you don't really hear much else going on besides the Saints. Someone who was linked to the Saints, I forget who. Brian Flores, the ex-Miami guy. He would have been a nice one to put as a head coach because at least he's got some experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd like the Cowboys to go after him at this point.
Yeah, they probably should too. But apparently there's rumors with the whole Dion thing. I don't know. Did we talk about that last week, Warner?
I'm not.
Sure. I don't remember if we talked about that last week. Because we might have, because I think that news has been out for a while, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't remember if we got to it, but that would be some show down there in Dallas if Dion wound up being the head coach, huh? I don't know what you would do with that. That'd be kind of crazy to me. Oof.
Going to be the year of the teams hiring their ex-players as head coaches?
I guess so, right? You're going to have a couple, at least for sure. Before we get into the games that happened last weekend, which were by far way better than the week before.
Oh, yeah.
Way better. Every game was good. I'd want to say I think the worst game was the Washington Detroit game. But let's just roll into it.
Well, I mean, Detroit probably played the worst because Washington was pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. But like for Washington to just upset the Lions was crazy to me. And like I was watching that whole game, and I'm sitting here and I'm watching, and once Washington went up by, I think it was 10 at the half, you could kind of see like the wheels fall off for the Lions a little bit. Like they kept scoring and they were matching them, but that was the problem. Like their defense couldn't stop Washington at all. And then it just kept putting the pressure on the offense. And then you saw Goff making, not mistake after mistake, but you throw an interception and there's a fumble, another interception, and
That hit probably didn't help either.
Right.
It didn't get called.
Right. And that's a whole nother story. Like he got rocked, and then Terry Bridgewater came in and then drove them down the field for a touchdown.
Yeah, right away, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then he comes back in, and I get you want to tough it out, especially since
Teddy Bridgewater, who was a high school football coach all year.
Yeah.
And when
And won
the
the
season
state.
was over, said, I'm ready to come back.
Yeah, and that was crazy, man. And that's why it was so funny that he winds up getting in the game, in a playoff game, and he marches them right down the field and score. And like, listen, can you blame Dan Campbell for putting back Goff in? Like, no. Like, if he tells you you're good to go, all right, get in there. Like, this is the guy that won you 15 games all season. You're not going to go with Terry Bridgewater and hope for the best. You know what I mean? But it's just, as it got later and later into the game, you could just see the Lions were just going to fall. And they did. And kudos to the Commanders for, I guess, having a really good game plan and sticking to it and moving on.
And the number 2 quarterback taken in the draft making out again. Like him and CJ Stroud. It's like, all right, now from now on, I think teams that whoever they think they should take number 1, they should take the next guy.
Take the other guy, right? 100%, because he's on fire right now.
He looks like the real deal.
Yeah, and he's the first rookie quarterback to make it in the playoffs and go this far in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Ever in the NFL. So that's kind of crazy. And then if he beats the Phillies, forget about it. It would be the first rookie in the Super Bowl. And before that game, we had Kansas City versus Houston.
That game annoyed me because I think the refs fucking played too much of a part of that game, man. With those, did you see that one roughing the passer call that they never even hit him?
Was that the one where he was running out of bounds?
The 2 deep? No, that's the one where he tried to come back in, where they should have flagged him for that. That was nonsense. They gotta change. I heard a couple of who did that game? That was
Troy Aikman?
It was Aikman, right?
Yeah.
I like what I think it was Aikman that said it, or because I know I heard it, I just don't remember who said it.
He was all pissed off.
But they said that it's got to change, and that every 15-yard penalty should get reviewed. Like they have enough people and enough time to review it before they snap off the next play to make sure it was a legit call. Because that one call where the 2 defenders came in and they never even hit him. They hit each other and they called it roughing the passer.
I know.
And that would have been 4th down. They would have had to punt, and they ended up scoring on that drive.
Yeah. And it was a close game, too.
Yes, Houston should have won that game.
Yeah. And listen, after that game, like there were a lot of people upset about that game. It's not just you. A lot of people were talking about it for the whole week. And now that like it kind of left such a bad taste in everyone's mouth, everyone wants the Bills to win right now.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, spoiler alert, I think the Bills are going to smack them around.
That's a good spoiler. I guess we'll see. I don't know. Well, I mean, we're gonna have to wait and find out.
Rematch of 1991.
Oh, yeah. we were babies when that football game was going on.
Rematch of 91, and I think it's going to be the same outcome. I'm calling it now.
There you go.
Bills are going to beat Kansas City and lose to the Commanders in the Super Bowl.
Really?
And Dan Quinn's gonna win in his first year. We got fucking stuck with Mike McCarthy.
You can tell he's a little butthurt, huh?
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah, so I might have to bet that game now. I might have to go heavy on the Bills if there's some history over there. So then we go to Sunday. You know what was, to me, the best game to me was the Eagles-Rams game.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
Over the Bills Ravens?
Yeah, I mean, the Bills-Ravens, everyone was, like, amped up for it, and, like, everyone was waiting to watch that game. But to me, like, the Eagles-Rams games was so close. Like, it came down to literally the last play. And even though it was so bad, I don't know if you guys saw it, but, like, Matthew Stafford just wasn't taking no for an answer. Like, every time Philly scored, he would score. He kept it close. They only lost by 6, right? Which I think the spread was like either 5.5 or 6 or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember.
But I don't know if they covered or whatever. But, like, it came down to the last play where, like, they were driving and it was like, I want to say it was like 6-7 seconds left. And I think Matthew Stafford just let it fly, and it was the worst pass he threw all game, and it just, like, sailed out of bounds. And that's how Philly won. But because of the snow,
Right.
like, because of the conditions, and, like, people, they were still moving the ball, but then punting, and then, like, it was almost like they would just get over the 50-yard line, and then they would get stopped, and you have to punt the ball. Like, they never really much got closer than that. And, you know,
could drop some passes, big passes too, man.
I know.
And then I kind of feel like after Saquon broke that touchdown, like that they were, you know, kind of had the upper hand because of, like you said, there wasn't really a
Well,
ton of
that's
offense
the
going
thing.
on.
Like, yeah, the score was close, but the Eagles beat the piss out. Because did Hurts even throw for 100 yards?
No, I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was all Saquon Barkley.
So it wasn't as close as the score showed, you know. But I don't know. And speaking of spread, there's another bunch of horse shit with the Kansas City game where they fucking ran out of the end zone for a safety at the end and fucked everybody out of the spread.
I know everyone was saying that too. I was surprised we didn't bring that up earlier,
What
but
a bunch of bullshit.
like it would have took them the same amount of time to punt the ball. Why didn't they punt the ball?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get that either. I'm just glad I didn't bet on the spread on that game. But yeah, I don't know. To me, that besides Saquon running down the Rams' throats, Stafford was throwing the ball all over the place. Like, yeah, I think he had almost 300 yards passing
Well, I mean,
in the snow.
yeah, but it got to a point where he had no choice. He had no choice. He had to throw the ball.
That's fine, but he's still connecting on a bunch of passes. You know what I mean? It's not like it's just like wobbling around and being thrown out of bounds.
That's another thing. You noticed that too, right? Nobody's throwing for a lot of yards.
No,
All playoffs.
no. The only ones that did, I think, so far was the last game, the Minnesota Rams game. That was the only game.
And J.D. Daniels is I think he threw for like 299 this game, and I think the game before that he was close to 300. But everybody else is
No, well, I bet Mahomes.
Some crazy play. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go
Some
ahead.
crazy, just some. I know, you know, the Lions seem, you know, I mean, the Lions defense really couldn't stop them, but just some crazy offensive plays on both ends in that game, like the long one by McLaurin,
Yeah.
the Jamison Williams reverse or whatever that was.
What about the one? I don't know his first name, but the guy Brown on Washington. He had someone's hand in his face and still caught the ball.
I did see that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Like, I'm like, holy crap! I'm like,
because
it's
J.D. Daniels like puts it in the spot that it needs to be.
it was crazy.
I wonder if that VR has something to do with it. Supposedly he's really big on that.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
huge on
really?
that. Yeah, they say every morning he does that. He goes on into the VR and
Let's just hope he doesn't pull, Sam Darnold and have it done, because don't forget, they played in week 16, so not that long ago, and he threw for 5 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah,
and
they
rushed
ca-
for like
they
81 yards.
and they came back to win it.
yeah, yep. They're tied on the season, as a matter of fact, 1-1 each. Phillies won the first round, and then they won the second round. So we'll see how that's going to go.
Doesn't he have, like, I think he has, like, what was it, 3 or 4, like, game-winning drives or something like that?
What they've been doing, I'm sure he does.
This year, I meant.
This year they've been winning the close games late in the game. So yeah, he's probably got a bunch of them. And it's going to be interesting because Washington's defense has gelled a little bit in this playoffs, these couple of games. And to go up against Saquon Barkley, it's going to be tough. And I don't know if you believe in this kind of thing, but I heard somebody's birthday is literally on the Super Bowl. Did I say this last week? I don't know if I did.
No.
Probably not. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Saquon Barkley. Literally, his birthday is on the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're not making it.
I hope they don't. But that'll be crazy. Imagine playing the Super Bowl on your birthday. Jesus. I don't even want to work on my birthday, let alone play in the Super Bowl. But, yeah, so you got that as a part of it, right? So, I don't know. We'll see, man. That game's going to be... I want to hope it's like a really good offensive game on Sunday. I don't know.
Well, listen. Saquon's chances are he's going to run because he did well. I think he did really well the 2 games they played. And the Redskins are just on the money right now, I think. So I think it's going to be definitely a good game. And I think there's going to be a lot of, because listen, defenses hasn't been anything special in any of these games, right? There's been points where some of these defenses have, come up big in certain spots, but it's not like there's been any kind of dominant defense and people are just getting stopped from, even like we said with the Rams game, it wasn't that close, but the Rams still came close and scored a bunch of points.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's definitely holes in people's defenses so far in the playoffs, but I don't know. We got to see what happens. I feel like things could tighten up this weekend because it's when you're in the Super Bowl. So everyone's going to give it all they got, I'm sure. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. What'd you guys think of that Rams-Bills games? I mean, the Ravens-Bills games. Jesus.
It was a good game. The Ravens, I'm still can't believe that Andrews dropped that. It just seems odd. But at the same time, too, they had a few turnovers. So
they had 3 turnovers in that game.
That adds up.
Yeah, and it wasn't just all Andrews, but it's...
I mean, I'm not going to say that's the hardest catch to make because it's not. He should have definitely caught that. But when you're reaching back, like if Lamar Jackson throws up ball right in front of him, he probably makes that catch 10 times out of 10, and we're going into overtime,
right? And
then you don't know what the hell's going to happen.
And with the weather the way it was, and if there's snow falling, it makes it all that much harder. But I thought I saw a clip where they showed a few years back in a playoff game, he did the same exact thing, dropped a 2-point conversion.
Did they?
Or it was like the same exact route, and Andrews dropped the ball.
Jeez, really?
But then I hear a lot of people complaining. It's like you're going for a 2-point conversion, and you signed Derrick Henry exactly for that, or Lamar Jackson, who's probably the best running quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
What the hell are you throwing the ball for?
It almost reminds me of that Super Bowl with Marshawn Lynch, right? Where they just could, if they would have ran it, they would have won the Super Bowl, but they decided not to. Yeah, I don't know. It's so tough because I guess with a play like that and the game is literally on the line, like the coach might overthink it. You know what I mean? Because he might be thinking that the other team expects us to run with one of those 2 guys.
Yeah, they're also questioning the fact that they went for the 2-point conversion earlier in the game when they really didn't need to.
Right, and then if you didn't do that, right, you'd be down by 1, you just kick the extra point, and you go into overtime.
Listen, everybody can talk about Andrews, but like I heard on the way here, there was still 1:30 left in the game, and Buffalo could have very easily came down and kicked the field goal anyway, so it's not like you're guaranteed to win the game.
You're right. I mean, more than likely you.
Even if he caught it, it would have only tied the game.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, it would only just tie the game, and you don't know. It could have went to overtime, or like you said, they could have marched down and kicked the last-minute field goal and buried them anyway. But I watched some of the interviews after the game, and listen, they all said the right things, which is good. Like, a lot of people were calling for Mark Andrews' head after the game. At least a lot of Ravens fans were, and it was like the thing to talk to. And I know there's at least 2 memes of Mark Andrews now, one of which has to do with Aaron Judge in the 5th game of the World Series. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, I saw that. They were side by side. It was Aaron Judge missing the fly ball, and then it was Mark Andrews missing the catch. So I'm sure there's more out there. The nice thing that came out of all of it is he made a lot of money for his charity.
The Bills Mafia?
Yeah, the Bills Mafia sent like $32,000 to his charity. Like, they raised money for him.
I feel like they're always doing nice things like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice thing, but does anyone think it's like partially a dig too, a little bit? Like, thanks for letting us win, see you later,
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a dig if it was coming from the team, but it's coming from the fans. It's money coming out of their pocket.
Right, but I'm still saying, it's still like, let's help this guy out. He had a terrible game.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that's definitely part of it.
And Henry didn't have that good of a game either, right?
He had a touchdown. I can't remember his, how many yards he had, to be fair.
Listen, their games should be exactly like the Eagles game, where the running back is running for as close to 200 yards as he can. The quarterback is rushing for as close to 100 yards as he can. Why the hell are you throwing the ball?
Right. You're not wrong. I think the problem with it is you got Lamar Jackson who can throw the ball. So, like, it's like almost like a dual threat kind of thing.
I mean, but any quarterback can throw the ball. That's why they're a damn quarterback in the NFL, or else they wouldn't be there.
Agreed, but the fact that you have a mobile quarterback and a guy that can throw the ball as well as he can, it probably messes with a lot of the play calling. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Jalen Hurts didn't throw the ball.
Right. But then, Saquon Barkley went for, 150-something yards? But, what are you going to do? So we already talked about Washington and Philly. So now you got, like you said, the matchup, KC and the Bills. And we already have your answer that you said the Bills are going to beat up on Kansas City. But what kind of a game do you expect this to be?
I personally think that it's impossible to say anything other than a close game, because every fucking game for the Chiefs is a close game. It comes down to basically the last play of the game. But I truly think that there's a good chance the Bills are going to beat up on the Chiefs.
Yeah, even in Kansas City?
I just think it's the Bills' year. I think Josh Allen has just got it. He's so dead set and focused that this is his year. Like, that's at least what I think, and that I feel, that I see, that he's just like, he's not taking no for an answer. He's going to do what he needs to do to make sure he wins the game.
No, listen, that's fair, because, at some point, 1 or 2 of these or 3 of these guys got to knock Mahomes off the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So why can't it be now?
And especially because Kansas City hasn't looked tremendous in any of these games. And again, like I said, if it not for the bullshit calls last week, I don't think they win that game.
It's hard to say. I still think they would have came out and won that game. Like, that team is just built to always just squeak out wins right now. Like, I know they haven't been having the best offense.
That penalty that I was talking about before.
Yeah.
That changed the entire game. That play changed the entire game, because they wouldn't have scored, and then if Houston would have came back down and scored after that, the game would have been over.
No, listen, you never know. All I can tell you at this point in time is Kansas City on paper probably has the best defense in the playoffs right now. So they're also going to be at home. I understand what you're saying. I just
The NFL wants to fucking as many more games as possible where they can show Taylor Swift 15 times a game.
Yeah, of course. No, they definitely. I mean, do you think she buys her ticket to the Super Bowl, or they just give it to her?
Of course they give it to her.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. I didn't know. It's hard to bet against Kansas City right now, dude. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, part of me wants them to lose to the Bills. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks now. It'd be nice to see the Bills get to the Super Bowl and hopefully win one, because they've been there 4 times and lost all 4 times. But Kansas City, if they go to the Super Bowl, they're probably going to win that too. And then we see history. It's very hard to have a three-peat, you know what I mean? Not even the great Tom Brady did that. So, you know, that would be something crazy to see. But at some point, when are you tired of it? A lot of people are tired of seeing Kansas City win, especially when you got things like this happening. Like, if they would have just flat out beat them, like, it'd be a different story. Right? And, you know, listen, if they flat out beat the Bills, so be it, right? If there's another call or something happens in the game that's questionable, it almost like tarnishes what they're doing here. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, you might be tired of them, but if they beat the piss out of the Bills, what can you say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, winners are going to win. And they showed you that all season. It hasn't been pretty all season, but they won 15 games.
Right.
And that's with giving up week 18.
They didn't beat the piss out of anyone.
No, they didn't. But what I'm saying is if they did, or even if they beat them by 7 but played them hard, and you really can't point at anything. Listen, the bottom line is this. Like, no matter what happens in that game, there's going to be a questionable call somewhere.
Oh,
because
sure.
Everyone's going to be looking for it.
Sure.
But what I'm going to be looking for is, does that play impact the game like it did the last game? Like, if it was a big hold or something like that where, okay, the guy was holding him and they called it, sorry. Now, listen, we all know, like, these offensive linemen and even the defensive line, they hold almost every play.
Yeah.
They just choose when to call it or not, right? So if they were to call it, yeah, it's 9 times out of 10 it's legit holding, but do they call it every single play? No, they don't, because they want the guys to play. But if it's something as egregious as what we saw last week, and it winds up turning the tide for Kansas City, yeah, people are going to be done with it. And, you know, I don't think you'll lose viewership for the Super Bowl off something like that.
No, of course.
But, like, next year, they're going to have to change it up because, like, everyone's saying it's scripted and all this other stuff. And, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist to say it is or isn't. I care less.
For a play like that it can totally change the outcome of the game, there's no reason why you can't review it. You review other plays, so there's no reason why you can't review it.
Yeah, they might have to, like, fine tune it for next year. You know, like they might not have a choice.
That play, they never even touched him, and he didn't go into a slide. He was going head first. You know that. They never even touched him, so there was no way that was a penalty, and it changed the outcome of the game.
Right. So, all right. So, you're picking the Commanders for this week.
Yep.
And the Bills.
Yep.
Right. Wonder, what are you picking?
I think I'm gonna go with the Eagles and the Bills.
Eagles and the Bills.
I think this might be the first time I've picked against Kansas City in a very long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Any particular reason why you're picking against Kansas City when they're at home?
I'm not impressed with what I've seen this year. They're a good team. You know, they've won some close games, but I think the Bills are more impressive. You know, I think they're just, as Ernie mentioned before, firing on all cylinders, you know, with Allen.
Right.
And I think they get it done. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, obviously Kansas City is, as the graphic showed before, 3-0 in the last 5, what was it?
3.
The I guess they matched up a lot in this
Yeah.
championship.
Yeah, pretty much. Whenever they play them in the playoffs, Kansas City wins. I'm going to go slightly different. I hate Philadelphia. I don't care about Saquon Barkley. I'm not a Giant fan. So I'm going Commanders, and I'm going to be the only one that picks Kansas City because I ain't stupid. I want to take that win. So, something's going to happen. People are going to be pissed off. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Taylor Swift are going to be going to the Super Bowl, and we're going to be watching it at Fallon's. And, we're going to have a good time. So I don't care. So that's what we got for that. I wanted to talk a little bit about some baseball news. So I was coming home today, and obviously the guys were texting that Pete Alonso is going to Toronto Blue Jays or whatever, and that there's a deal in there. Before I get to talking about that, did you guys know that Toronto's taxes are 53%?
Do they still have Guerrero?
Yeah, they do. They do. I didn't know that. So, for them to make an offer for Alonso, for it to be the same amount of money for the Mets, they have to go
that's
15% more.
That's why typically a lot of people don't want to go to Canada.
Yeah, they'd have to shell out more money. But that's besides the point. So they still have Guerrero. It looks like what the Blue Jays are doing are going all in. They just signed Santander. He was a free agent. I think he got, 5 years, $92 million?
Yes.
So he was kind of cheap too. Because he's not seeing a third of that money easily. If not, he's basically making like $13 million a year after it's all said and done, which is nothing.
It's a bargain.
Yeah, why wouldn't
anybody?
Yeah, I don't understand. You're telling me I get it. The big knock on him is he's a terrible defensive outfielder.
He can hit though.
But yeah, he had 44 home runs last year. What are you doing? I would have taken him just to play DH if we didn't have a DH already. You know what I mean? Just be you'll play the outfield maybe twice a week, maybe, or stick him somewhere where, he's not going to get the ball hit to him a lot, But, I don't know why he just wound up in Toronto. And then if Pete Alonso goes to Toronto, I know what people are thinking, they're going to trade Vladimir Guerrero. And I kind of think the opposite. I think they're going to hold on to him even more so now because you don't have to play Pete Alonso at first base. You could just DH him.
Right.
And then let's say the Blue Jays do what the Blue Jays always do and they are losing most of the year. You could then trade Guerrero for a ton of prospects to whoever the hell you want. You know what I mean? And then you have Pete Alonso just step in at first base. You have him for the next 2-3 years after that. And then at least you still have a decent first baseman. You know what I mean? I don't know. Other than that,
I just heard on the way here that, what's his name? Jackson Profar.
Oh, yeah, I heard that too.
Signed with Atlanta.
1-year deal.
Yeah.
Another steal. So the Braves, even though they haven't been doing much this offseason, just sneak in there and get another good offensive bat to put into that lineup.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. I don't know, man. There's still, other than that, there's not much going on anymore. And I feel like we're right around the corner from pitchers and catchers, man.
Yeah.
What are we, not even 3 weeks, right? Or something like that. Or maybe it's 3 weeks. The pitchers and catchers, what day is it today? The 22nd? Or?
Yeah.
I think they all have different dates, but I think the last of them is the 19th. The last of the team's pitchers and catchers report on the 19th. So, I don't know. There's still, where's Alex Bregman going? They also have that guy, what is it, Flattery? He's not signed yet either.
Yeah, that's surprising too.
Yeah, very surprising. And we didn't talk about the Dodgers, what they've been doing, right? Did we talk about them last week besides Roki going there?
No.
They signed Tanner Scott? And I think they signed somebody else too. What the hell's... What? I hate to be a little jealous, but I kind of am a little jealous.
Well,
they're spending all this money.
I think everybody is at this point. You can't be otherwise.
But you know what's funny? I saw this stat real quick that everyone that they've signed like the last 2 years, or the majority of them, maybe I think Mookie Betts and also Freeman were included, so they were a couple years back. All those guys that they've signed this year and those other couple years, like an Ohtani, over $1 billion of their contracts is deferred money.
Yeah.
$1 billion is deferred. How crazy is that?
I mean, I don't understand. You know, we live in a copycat society, right? So if you're allowed to do it and it's not breaking the rules, like, why wouldn't every team do it? And it just so happens that the players that are on the Dodgers are the only ones that are willing to do it? I mean,
There's got to be something to it. Maybe like they'll only do it for the Dodgers, those players. I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe because they think they'll win a World Series and that's what they want to do. I really don't know, because it makes no sense why you wouldn't defer it. Because apparently when you sign somebody, like, you have to have that money in escrow.
Right.
So, like, when you defer it, I don't know if you still have to have all the money there or just a portion of it now because you're deferring so much. So, like, you just have to replenish it every year when you're deferring. Like, for example, if you were deferring $10 million on a $20 million contract, in escrow, you'd only have to have the $10 million right now. But then if you're deferring the other 10 the next 5 years after, then you have to add the 2 every year after that, which means you could take that $2 million and invest it and make more money off money that's not even really supposed to be yours anymore. Which doesn't seem right to me, to be fair, because
Well, I
I
mean,
just did simple math.
That's definitely what they're doing.
Right.
Right? So it's smart. Like I said, it's smart. If they allow you to do it and you're not breaking the rules, it's a brilliant idea. It's just why are they the only ones doing it?
Right. I don't understand. I don't get it. I'm in the same.
Because most players nowadays, I guess, wouldn't. I mean, to me, it's beneficial for them too. I would think that you're gonna get paid for, like Bonilla, paid for many years after you're.
He's
done
still
playing.
getting paid.
Right.
And there's other guys out there after Bonilla that are still getting paid.
Yeah. Like,
it's not just him. He's the most
Right.
famous for doing that because he might have been one of the first, and it was a lot of money back then. Like he's getting I think $1.2 million every year.
But his was, when you break it down, and it was a while ago. We get
A
it,
long time
but
ago.
it was $35 million or something like that, $32 million. But Ohtani, you're talking about, what was it, like 600 change million?
Yeah, it's like 660 or something like that. Something crazy. No, it might be 680. He's only making $2 million a year supposedly. So it was like 680 deferred over the next like 30 years. And I guess it works for the players too because you're not paying taxes on that right now, right? You can't pay taxes on the whole contract if you're not getting it.
Right.
So like his $2 million, he's only getting taxed on the $2 million. And listen, my heart doesn't bleed for him. It's only $2 million, which is still a lot of money. So he's still living fine and well within his means, I'm sure. Especially with all the other endorsements and all this other nonsense.
Which is crazy too, because and I guess it depends where he's going to be at the time when he's getting that payment, because California's no picnic either when it comes to taxes.
Yeah.
So when you're getting all that money in such large sums, you're obviously going to be paying more taxes.
Well,
And then how does that work with like the agents and the managers and all that stuff? Like, is their cut out of that coming out now, or are they not getting that money because are they going to be your agent at that time? Right?
that's a good question. What I would assume is they get the percentage of the contract when it's signed, but they're also getting the deferred money. So like if they were owed, like if it's a $700 million contract and they're getting, let's say, I don't know, $50 million out of that, right? But like you got to split it up. So if he's making $2 million a year for the next 10 years and then he's getting all that other money on the back end, you might get $2 million for the first 10 years. And then that other 48 might be on the back end once it starts coming off the books every year. Like you got to really look into the contract and see how many years it's going for. So like, let's say the 680 is broken up into $50 million a year or something like that. you'd be getting a percentage of that as well. Because I couldn't see anyone working and saying I'm getting 15% of $2 million, not of the $700 million. Like for the, or like let's just say the 20, because he's getting paid $20 million for the next 10 years, and then everything else after that. So I guess you got to look at the increments of how many years that's over. I would assume him, like the agent and the player, are in some kind of agreement where he's going to get paid along the lines with that as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's all got to be worked out. It has to be. Like, that doesn't make no sense to me that because he's not a player anymore, you don't get paid, but you brokered the deal. But the thing I thought about is, what if he's living in Japan
That's what
and they don't have taxes, or they have less taxes or whatever? Like, how does that work when you're in another state?
I'd have a hard time believing that the IRS and the government's not going to get their piece of the pie because you earn that money in this country.
Right, but if you go to, like, if you have, I don't want to make it look like if someone has a pension, but if you have a pension and you go to another state, you're not paying, depending on where you go, you're not going to pay state taxes.
Because you're not living here.
Right, but you only would pay, some places you wouldn't pay.
But don't forget, that's your pension that, okay, where you are, you're paying what is there. But the money that you made when you were here, you paid the taxes here. You
Right.
understand? So that's money, that's not a pension. That's salary that he's earning for playing here. It's just getting paid later on. So they're gonna still want their piece, I would think.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. Like, there's no way to get out of that, so you're probably right about that. So I saw something late last night about the greatest closer ever in baseball, and I hate even trying to have to talk about this, but I don't know much about it. But Ernie, walk us through what these allegations are, because I heard two different stories. One was his wife, and the other story I heard it was him and his wife. So I don't know. It blew up last night all over the place. At first I thought it was fake. When I saw it, I was like, I saw it on like Instagram or something like that. In my head, this is fake. You know, it's like this is one of those fake news kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear anything about it until this morning on my way to work. And
So they're already talking about it on the radio?
this morning?
Yeah, I missed it on the radio this
At
morning.
like 6:30, they were talking about it. But apparently, again, it's not a criminal. It's just civil.
Right.
And has something to do with a child and sexual allegations. And at first they were saying they're named in it. Their name is all over the civil suit because it has something to do with, I don't know, a foundation or a camp that's named after them or they're a part of.
Yeah, that they own or they started or whatever.
Yeah, but then it seems like they're saying that the wife potentially has something to do with trying to cover it up.
Oh, jeez. Well, I just hope it doesn't affect the great Mariano Rivera, because that'd be terrible. Because he's like a preacher in Panama, isn't he? Like,
he does amazing things for people.
yeah, so it makes no sense. Our buddy Devang actually saw him on the plane. He took a picture with him on a plane.
So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, this has got to be. I hope this is like nonsense, or it's like someone else doing it in the foundation, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know about you guys, but I haven't been watching the Knicks enough to talk about them. To be fair,
I haven't either. And
the only thing I can tell you is every time I just look at the standings, and every time I look at the standings, it's the same. It's like the Cavaliers are still like 30-something and 6.
The Cavaliers don't lose.
Yeah. Boston hasn't lost in a while.
Boston doesn't lose much.
Right, and the Knicks just lose a little bit just to be right behind them.
Right, and then everybody else behind them is pretty much just...
The next bunch of people from like 4 to 8 are within 5 games of them.
Yeah.
So it's all close. And like, I don't know. I couldn't even tell you if they're gelling. Like, one minute they say the Knicks win, and Karl Anthony Towns has a great game, or Brunson has a great game.
Yeah,
or
it just seems like it's been weird. It's been weird that they'll lose games that they should be winning.
Yeah.
Then they're winning games that you would think that there's a good chance they're gonna lose. It's weird, and then it's like just very all over the place. Whereas last year, it was, Brunson, obviously, until Randall got hurt, it was Brunson and Randall. And then once Randall went out, it was basically Brunson and DiVincenzo, right? Every single night. Whereas now, it's all over the place. There's games where Brunson doesn't even get close to 20 points.
Yeah.
And then there's games where he's scoring over 30, right? Karl Anthony Towns, there's games where he's, scoring over 40, and then there's somewhere he's not even scoring 20. So it's more spread out.
Yeah, which could be a good thing if they keep continuing to gel, because if you get everyone hot at the same time, that'll be great. From what I heard from guys at work, he's like, they have a top 5 team in the league, starters wise. They just need more, another guy or two off the bench to spell some of these minutes, because
that's
Thibodeau's
what
killing
they're
them.
saying. I mean, and again, like we said, we haven't been watching a lot, but when you do check the box scores and stuff, it does seem like he's playing more. He has a bigger rotation than he's had the last few years, and the guys seem like, more so lately, that they're not playing as many minutes as they've been. So it looks like he's
trying to even it out.
Yeah.
That's good, because last I heard he wasn't. He was just beating them into the ground. But
I feel like it's been better this year it's been better lately than it was at the beginning of the year, and definitely as it was last year.
that's good. What have we been watching, guys? Anything good?
I really haven't been watching much. Just been busy doing some other stuff, but I haven't watched anything new.
I watched a couple of things.
I haven't even finished the Silo yet.
Oh, this is a fucking guy. I'm gonna yell at him later.
I still have to watch season 2 of that as well. But I've been watching a little bit of that. I think I mentioned it last time. American Primeval.
Yeah, I heard about that. It's supposed to be good.
Yeah, it's pretty violent.
Yeah.
But so I'm enjoying that. And then I also watched this movie that I had wanted to see, and then it was on HBO last week. I think it's called The Different Man. I liked it. It was different, for sure.
Makes sense.
A lot of those A24 movies, they make some crazy stuff. But yeah, I liked it.
What's it about?
Oh boy.
Is it all over the place?
This guy, he has a deformed face, and I think he's going for treatment for it, and then somehow he doesn't have it anymore, so it's he has a whole new life, and it just gets crazier from there.
Wow. Sounds interesting at the very least.
And what's it called again?
A Different Man, I think.
Anything else?
Oh, no. Yeah, those are the only things.
So I finished Silo, but I'll wait to talk about that till you guys catch up. You'll be pleasantly surprised with the ending. I kind of was, and we'll talk about it. Hopefully next week you guys can get on board and finish it. I started watching Landman. I'm on episode 5, I should say. It's pretty good. It's entertaining for sure. I got there was a scene where I was like, wait, what just happened here? Does anyone remember the girl, Ali Larder, I think her name is?
Yeah.
From Varsity Blues. She did the whole whipped cream thing.
Yep.
So there's a scene with her and Billy Bob, and all of a sudden, they get into bed, and she takes off her top, and I'm like, what just happened? I didn't know there was any nudity in this show. You know what I mean? I know it's Paramount Plus, but I thought, is it on FX or something like that, or no? Or is it just strictly on Paramount Plus?
I believe so.
Okay, because I guess then when they show the commercials, it just says Paramount Plus, I automatically assumed it was on like FX or Paramount TV because the Paramount Plus they have a Paramount channel. So I'm like, maybe they're allowed to show that, but or they just skip it. Like I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, what? What is happening here? And then like I'm another episode or two past that scene or whatever it was. But it's pretty good right now. Like I want to see how it ends for sure. By next week I'll have it done, hands down.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's.
Oh, you watched the whole season?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
I think because I mean I've seen up to episode 10, and the last couple of times I've checked there.
No, yeah, there's only 10. There's only 10. I always before I get into these shows, I always check IMDb to make sure like all the episodes are out, or at least close to being out. So like by the time I get towards the end, I don't have to wait like a week to watch it. Yeah, so like I finished Shiloh and I finished that. I'm halfway through that, and then I've been picking up some movies real quickly that are like just random movies.
Yeah.
On somewhere on Netflix. There's one that's called A Catcher Is a Spy. It's with Paul Rudd. It's a true story. Like I found these a lot of these.
It was a book. Yeah, that was a book. I remember.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay. So apparently, without ruining the entire movie, it takes place in World War II, and Paul Rudd is a MLB baseball catcher, but he's like really smart. He's got like degrees all over the place. Like it's back then, it's the 40s. Like these guys went to college and did whatever they had to do and like whatever, right? They weren't making like millions of dollars. So like the government asked him to go on a mission and to like, you know, like this is the point of the war, I guess, where the Nazis are trying to build the atom bomb. So he has to go over there and try to, you know, figure out what the hell's going on. It's a quick movie. It's an hour and a half. In and out, you're done. It was good. It was entertaining. And there's a lot of famous people in there too. Guy Pearce is in there. That old dude from something else that I don't remember his name, but he's in there. The guy from Dumb and Dumber, what's his name? Jeff Daniels. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's in there. Okay. Obviously Paul Rudd. There's a bunch of people. You know, Sienna Miller's in there. One other guy. Do you remember the guy that was Sinestro from Green Lantern?
I think so.
He's in there. I don't remember his name. I couldn't tell you. Or remember the bad guy from Shazam in the first Shazam movie with the little mustache? I can't tell. I can't know his name, but he's in that anyway. I watched that, and then a movie came out yesterday, I think, on Netflix. You Gotta Believe. It's another true story about the Little League World Series kids from like 2002, where like one of the fathers like got diagnosed with cancer. I forget what it was, but some kind of form of blood cancer where he developed tumors in his brain and then wound up being the rest of his body. And it was their run. They're like the Bad News Bears, but then they got better and whatever. And that's what the movie's all about. Like they make it to the Little League World Series. It's a true story. They show you clips of the Little League World Series. Then at the end, they show you the actual kids and the interview with the father and all this other stuff. That was a good movie too. I'm not gonna lie. I was getting into these like true story sports movies.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, I can't remember any other movies that I watched that were worth noting. There were some really bad movies I watched last week, but I don't remember any of their names. I wish I did right now. There was slim pickings last week, and I was
really?
Yeah. I mean, listen. Sometimes you're gonna pick bad movies, even though like you look at it and you're like, this could be okay. I don't know.
You're all done with the Christmas movies?
Oh yeah, I've been done with that. Yeah, it's over. That's done. But yeah, there were some bad movies. I'm like, what am I watching? But it put me to sleep. So on that note, it was pretty good. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I got. Wonder, you got any music for us this week?
Yes, just one.
Oh, here we go. All of a sudden, this is like 3 weeks in a row now.
It's probably more than that.
Yeah, probably at least 3 weeks.
Yeah, just one pick this week, one selection. We're going to go with Mac Miller with Balloonerism. So that's the pick for this week.
The title of the song is Balloonerism?
The album. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got you. Well, that's great. I guess if you were paying attention this long, thank you very much. Have a great week and weekend, and hopefully, I don't know, your teams win and go to the Super Bowl.
Let's go Bills.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yep.
Let's go Josh Allen.
And let's shut it off.